My beloved child, come and sit with me. I see the brave face that you present to the world. I see the carefully constructed smile, the determined effort to function, to survive, to hold it all together. But I also see what no one else sees. I see what you see when you are alone in the quiet of your own room, when the masks come off and the pretense falls away, when you look into the honest mirror of your own soul. You know the truth. You are not whole. You feel shattered. You feel like a beautiful and priceless porcelain vase that has been dropped from a great height onto a stone floor. Its pieces scattered in every direction. Its reflection now just 1,000 fragmented and distorted images of the person you once were, and the person you had always hoped to be. The world around you has been harsh. The careless words of others have been like stones, contributing to your shattering. The circumstances of your life, the losses, the betrayals, the disappointments have been like a great and heavy blow that has struck the very core of your being. And as you now sit in the midst of the ruins of your own life, or as you look at the countless broken pieces of your heart, your dreams, your faith, and your identity, you have come to a logical, a reasonable, and a completely devastating conclusion. You have concluded that you are broken beyond all human repair. You have looked at the damage, and you have believed that the pieces are too small and too scattered, that the cracks are too deep and too numerous to ever be mended. And so, with a grief that is too deep for tears, you have given up on the hope of ever being whole again. But, my child, you have been assessing the damage with your own human eyes, and you have been measuring the possibility of your repair with your own limited human hands. You have not yet considered what my hands, the hands that form the cosmos, can do with the broken pieces of a single, beloved life. You see a shattered vessel, and your heart despairs. But I see the precious, raw material for my next great masterpiece of restoration. You feel that you will be broken forever, but I have come to you today as you sit in the dust of your own brokenness, to speak a better word over you, to make you a divine and an unbreakable promise from the heart of the master craftsman. You will be whole again. My child, before we can begin the beautiful work of your restoration, we must first, with a profound tenderness and an unflinching honesty, examine the anatomy of your shattered heart. I do not do this to shame you, but to honor the reality of your pain and to show you that I see every single piece. First, let us speak of the shattering of your identity. You once had a clear and a cohesive image of who you were. You had your strengths, your plans, your dreams, your sense of self, but the great blows of life have shattered that image into 1,000 conflicting fragments. And now, when you look at yourself, you see only these warring pieces. You see the successful you from your distant past, and you see the failed you of your painful present. You see the spiritual you who sincerely loves me, and you see the carnal you who still stumbles into the same old sins. You see the loving you who desires to be kind, and you see the wounded you who reacts with fear and with anger. These pieces no longer seem to fit together, and so you feel that you are living a lie, a fragmented existence with no cohesive and solid sense of self. You do not know who you really are anymore. Next, we must acknowledge the deep pain of the missing pieces. As you look at all the scattered shards of your life, lying on the floor. You are acutely and painfully aware that some pieces are not just broken, they are missing entirely. There is the missing piece of your childlike innocence, a piece that was stolen from you by the cruelty or the sin of another. There is the missing piece of a person you loved who is gone and will never return. There is the missing piece of your vibrant health, which a chronic illness has taken from you. There is the missing piece of your youthful trust in the goodness of people, a piece that was shattered by a great betrayal. And there's the missing piece of your once fiery hope, a piece that has been ground into a fine dust by years of relentless disappointment. You look at these empty, gaping spaces in the vessel of your life, and you despair, believing that a vessel with missing pieces can never be made whole, can never be useful, can never be beautiful again. This feeling of being fundamentally and permanently incomplete has been the source of your deepest and most inconsolable grief. And I see how you live with the constant fear of the cracks. With all the strength you possess, you have tried to glue some of the larger pieces of your life back together. You have tried to function. You have tried to act whole. You have tried to present a repaired version of yourself to the world. But you are always conscious of the cracks. You can feel them. They are a map of your vulnerabilities, a constant reminder of where you have been broken. And you live in a state of constant, low-grade fear, a fear that any new pressure, any new trial, any unexpected bump will cause you to break apart again along these same fragile fault lines. You do not trust yourself to hold together. And so you live a small and a guarded life, avoiding all risks, avoiding deep relationships, avoiding any situation that might test the fragile integrity of your self-repaired soul. And all of this has led you to the final, sorrowful conclusion, the conclusion of your uselessness. You know that a shattered vase cannot hold water. You know that a broken mirror gives only a distorted and a fragmented reflection. And so you have looked at your own brokenness, and you have concluded that you are now useless to me and useless to the world. You feel you have nothing left of value to offer. You believe your only purpose now is to sit as a silent, tragic pile of broken shards in a forgotten corner of my kingdom, a monument to what might have been. This feeling of uselessness has been the final, devastating blow to your spirit. But, my beloved child, you have been trying to assess your own condition and your own potential for repair from the limited perspective of the broken pieces themselves. You have been acting as your own craftsman, and from that vantage point, you have rightly concluded that the task of your restoration is impossible for you. But you are not the craftsman. I am. Where you see irreparable damage, I see a beautiful and a glorious opportunity. For I am the master restorer. I am the one who specializes in taking that which has been shattered into 1,000 pieces and making it not just whole again, but more beautiful, more glorious, and more valuable than it ever was before. You see 1,000,000 shattered, worthless pieces of glass, but I see a beautiful collection of precious, raw materials, each one known by name to me, each one valued and about to be used in a new design. You see the missing shards, as a permanent and a tragic loss. But I see them as the holy, empty spaces where I will now have the opportunity to pour in the molten gold of my own divine grace, creating something new and breathtakingly beautiful. You see the cracks as a sign of your permanent weakness and your fragility, but I see them as the very lines where my divine strength will be most gloriously displayed, the places where the light of my redemption will shine through most brilliantly. You see a useless and a discarded vessel, but I see a vessel that has now, through its very breaking, been perfectly prepared for my most profound, my most intimate, and my most beautiful work of restoration. Your own assessment of your brokenness is correct. You are shattered. You are in pieces. And you do not possess within yourself the power to fix yourself. But my assessment of your future is the greater and more powerful truth. I am the one who can, the long, painful, and sorrowful season of your brokenness is not the end of your story. It is the necessary and holy prerequisite for the great and glorious story of your divine restoration. And now that we have looked together at all the broken pieces, I must now begin to tell you of my great and loving work on your behalf. We must now speak of how I, the great gatherer of your scattered pieces, have not allowed a single precious fragment of your life to be lost. You now see with a painful but honest clarity the anatomy of your shattered heart. You have looked unflinchingly at the scattered pieces of your life, and from your human perspective, ma'am, you have concluded that they are beyond all hope of repair. You have looked at the empty spaces where parts of your life used to be, and you have grieved them as being lost forever. You see the fragments spread far and wide, lost to the winds of time, of trauma, and of your own failure. And you believe it is an impossible task to ever find them all again. But you do not yet know the relentless and tender nature of your God. Before I can be your divine restorer, I must first be your divine gatherer. And I want you to know today, with an unshakable certainty, that I have been at this sacred work of gathering since the very moment you were first broken. I know that you have grieved most deeply for the parts of yourself that you believe are irretrievably lost. You have mourned for your lost innocence, stolen from you by the sin of another or by your own premature choices. You have mourned for your lost trust, which was shattered into a million pieces by a great betrayal. You have mourned for your lost hope, which has been ground into a fine, gray dust by the millstone of years of disappointment. And you have mourned for your lost years, the years you feel have been wasted in the wilderness, years you can never get back. You have performed funerals in your heart for these lost parts of yourself, believing them to be a final and irreversible death. You see them as irretrievably scattered, lost to you forever. But my child, you have been searching with your limited human sight, which cannot see into the hidden places. And you have been assessing the loss with your finite human mind, which cannot comprehend the power of my redemption. My sight is perfect. My knowledge is infinite. My love is relentless. And I declare to you a glorious and a liberating truth today in my kingdom. Nothing that belongs to one of my beloved children is ever truly lost. From the very moment of your shattering, my own Holy Spirit has been like a gentle and a tireless seeker, walking with a soft and silent tread through the entire landscape of your life. He has been patiently, lovingly, and meticulously gathering every single precious fragment of your heart, your soul, and your story. Not a single piece, however small or seemingly insignificant, has been overlooked. Not a single shard has been forgotten. Not a single tear has been left uncollected. Not a single fragment has been lost. Let me tell you of the pieces I have been gathering and keeping safe for you. First, I have gathered every single shard of your broken heart. Your heart feels like it has been shattered into 1,000 pieces, and you fear you can never love or feel deeply again. But I have been gathering the pieces. I have gathered the shard of your capacity to love, the piece you thought was destroyed forever by that great betrayal. I have gathered the shard of your ability to feel joy, the piece you thought was permanently drowned in the sea of your sorrow. I have gathered the shard of your vulnerability and your tenderness, the beautiful, fragile piece you tried to bury under a hard shell of cynicism and self-protection. I have gathered the shard of your creativity and your passion, the piece that you felt had withered and died from long disuse. I have held these precious and essential pieces of your true heart in my own hands, keeping them safe, preserving them from any further damage until the appointed time of your mending. Next, I have gathered the very dust of your dead dreams. I know how you have mourned the death of your old dreams, the specific plan you had for your family, the particular career path you envisioned, the great ministry you had hoped to build. You have looked at the places where those dreams once stood, and you have seen only a field of graves. You have written them off as a total and a tragic loss. But I am the God of resurrection, the one who creates life out of death, and who forms new things from the dust of the ground. I have, with great care, gathered every single particle of the dust of your dead dreams. And I will now use this precious dust, the dust that has been sanctified by your surrender, and I will breathe my spirit into it, and I will form for you new and better dreams. They will be my dreams for you, dreams that are far more glorious, far more fulfilling, and far more aligned with my perfect and eternal will for your life than the old dreams you once held so tightly. Nothing has been wasted. Even the dust of your death will be used in the resurrection of your life. I have also, as I have told you before, gathered the tears of your sorrow. You must understand the value of this collection. You thought your tears were a sign of your weakness. You thought they were a useless and an empty expression of your pain. But I have collected every single one in my heavenly bottle. They have been preserved and in my kingdom. These tears are a substance of immense power. They are a liquid prayer that has been crying out to me on your behalf. And they are a holy water, a sacred anointing oil that I will now use as one of the key ingredients in the divine adhesive that will mend your broken heart. Your own sorrow will be used to bring about your healing, and I have gathered what you have perceived as your lost years. This, I know, has been one of your most painful losses. You have looked back at the years spent in the wilderness, in the waiting room, in the darkness, and you have seen them as a great, empty, and unproductive hole in the middle of your life. You have grieved for the time you have lost, the time you can never get back. But I am the Lord of time, and I am a God who redeems time. I have gathered every single moment of those years you have called lost, and I will now, in this new season, restore them to you. How will I do this? My word promises that I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. I will do this by taking all the hidden and unseen things that were forged in you during those years, the deep wisdom, the profound endurance, the unshakable character, and I will now infuse them into your future. I will bring about a season of divine acceleration in your life. What would have once taken you 10 years to accomplish will now be accomplished in one. What you have lost in time, you have gained in weight, and I will now cause your life to bear so much fruit, so quickly and so powerfully, that it will completely swallow up the memory of your barren years in my divine mathematics. Not a single day has been truly lost. So, my beloved child, you can now cease your frantic and sorrowful searching for the lost pieces of your life. The work of gathering is now complete. It is my work, and I have done it with a perfect and a loving thoroughness. Your work now is to simply trust that I have everything. I have all the pieces of your heart. I have all the dust of your dreams. I have all the tears of your sorrow. I have all the time you thought was lost. Nothing is missing. Everything that is needed for your complete and your glorious restoration is now present and accounted for in my loving and capable hands. The time of searching and gathering is now over, and I, the master restorer, the divine kintsugi artist, am now sitting down at my heavenly workbench. I have all the precious, shattered pieces of your life laid out before me, and I am looking at them not with dismay, but with a joyful and a creative delight. For now, the glorious and miraculous work of reassembly, of mending, of healing, and of making you whole again is about to begin. You now understand the glorious and comforting truth that I, your divine gatherer, now hold every single precious and scattered fragment of your life in my loving hands. You know that nothing has been truly lost, that every piece of your heart, every tear of your sorrow, and even the dust of your dead dreams has been collected and preserved for a divine purpose. But I know the question that now rises with a painful urgency in your soul. It is the great and agonizing why you ask me with a heart full of confusion. My Father, if I was your cherished vessel, a creation you valued, why did you allow me to be shattered in the first place? Why was all this breaking necessary? We must now, with great tenderness and with a wisdom that is not of this world, speak of this profound mystery. For you have looked back at the moment of your great breaking as the central tragedy of your life. It has felt to you like a pointless destruction, a violent and a meaningless act that ruined something that was once beautiful and whole. You have seen that moment as the point where everything went wrong. The moment your life was irreparably ruined. You have seen no purpose in it, only pain. But my beloved child, you have been grieving the breaking of a vessel that you did not realize was already deeply and dangerously flawed. I am the master potter. I am the one who formed you, and I am the one who knows the true nature of the clay. And I knew that the vessel of your former self while beautiful and functional in some ways on the surface, had hidden, internal, and hairline cracks of pride. It was filled with the subtle but weakening impurities of mixed motives, and it had been subtly misshapen by the pressures of the world's mold. I knew, with my perfect foresight, that this old vessel would have eventually and inevitably failed under the immense weight and pressure of the glorious destiny I have planned for you. Therefore, the great shattering, as agonizingly painful as it was not an accident. It was not a tragedy. It was an act of my profound, my loving, and my preventative mercy. I had to allow the old, flawed vessel to be broken in a controlled environment, so that I could then gather the pieces and remake you into something far stronger, far purer, and far more beautiful than you ever were before. The breaking was a merciful remaking. Why the old vessel had to break. Let us now look together at the hidden flaws in your old vessel, the flaws that made the breaking so necessary. First, deep within the clay of your former self, there was a fine and almost invisible, but a spiritually fatal hairline crack of pride and self-reliance. On the surface, you looked strong, you were capable, you were competent, and you took a suck but a real pride in your own strength, your own goodness, your own ability to manage your life. But I, the potter, whose eyes see through the surface and into the very substance of the clay, knew that this tiny crack existed. And I knew that when the appointed time came for me to fill you with the new, potent, and expansive wine of my spirit and my blessing, the immense pressure of that new wine would have exploited that tiny, hidden crack, and the entire vessel would have shattered in a moment of catastrophic and public failure. I could not allow that to happen. So I, in my mercy, allowed a lesser breaking now, in the privacy of my own workshop, in order to save you from a far greater breaking later, on a public stage, which would have brought you and my name a far greater shame. The failure you have endured was my loving tool to expose and to deal with that hidden crack of pride, so that a vessel of true and authentic humility could be built in its place. Second, the very clay of your old vessel was not pure. It was mixed with the fine sand and the gritty impurities of the world. Your sincere desire to serve me was often mixed with a subtle but real desire for human applause and recognition. Your genuine love for other people was often mixed with a selfish need for their approval and their affection in return. Your worship of me was often mixed with a concern for your own spiritual reputation. These impurities, these mixed motives, made the very substance of the vessel weak, porous, and unreliable. The intense, purifying heat of your trial, the breaking, was the only way to separate the pure, precious clay of your truth, a God-given heart from the impure dross of your mixed, worldly motives. The fire has burned away your need for the approval of man. It has burned away your desire for your own glory, and it has left behind a clay that is now pure, a heart whose single and sincere desire is to love and to serve me alone. I have purified you so that I can now pour my own pure spirit into you without it being contaminated. Third, the vessel of your old self had been, in many ways, shaped by a worldly mold. You were unconsciously shaped by your culture's definitions of success, of beauty, of strength, and of value. And while you are a functional vessel in the world system, Your very shape was wrong for containing the unique and heavenly glory that I have always intended to pour into your life. The vessel was too small. It was too narrow at the top. It was too constricting. The great breaking was necessary to completely shatter that old, worldly mold and to free the precious clay of your life from its confining shape. Now that you have been broken down from that old form, I have placed you as a soft and pliable lump of clay back onto my potter's wheel. And now I am free to reshape you with my own loving hands, not according to the pattern of this world, but according to the glorious and heavenly design that I have for you. A design that is perfectly suited to contain your unique destiny. And finally, the old vessel was like a piece of unfired greenware. In pottery, greenware is a vessel that has been perfectly shaped on the wheel, but has not yet been through the fire of the kiln. It may look finished, it may look beautiful, but it is soft, it is fragile, and it has no true strength. The first contact with the water of real, significant adversity would have caused it to soften, to sag, and to dissolve back into a shapeless lump of mud. The breaking and the intense fire of the affliction that has accompanied it has been your necessary firing process. It has been your time in my divine kiln, and it has transformed the very molecular structure of your soul. It has turned you from a fragile, soft clay pot into a strong, a resilient, and a vitrified ceramic vessel, a vessel of honor that is now capable of holding the living water of my spirit without leaking, without dissolving, and without breaking under the pressure. I am calling you now to a profound and a healing change of perspective. I want you to look back at the moment of your great breaking, the most painful and confusing moment of your entire life. And I want you to see my loving and sovereign hand in it. See it not as the hand of a destroyer, but as the wise and skillful hand of a master potter, who knew with a perfect certainty that the old, flawed vessel had to be broken in order to be gloriously remade into something far greater. The breaking was not my rejection of you. It was the beginning of your true creation. It was an act of profound, if severe, love. The breaking is now over. The old, flawed vessel is gone forever. And now, what I have before me on my wheel is a beautiful mound of soft, pliable, purified, and surrendered clay. Your brokenness has made you teachable. Your shattering has made you soft and responsive. In my hands for the very first time. And now, the glorious and creative work of shaping you, of molding you, of fashioning you into a new, a beautiful, a strong, and a flawless vessel is about to begin. The old, flawed vessel of your former self has been lovingly and mercifully shattered. And now, I, your divine gatherer, hold every single precious fragment of your life, your heart, and your history in my tender and capable hands. Nothing has been lost, but I know the fear that now rises in your heart as you look at this pile of broken pieces. You wonder, how can these shattered shards ever be made into something whole again? You fear that even if the pieces are put back together, the result will be a fragile, ugly, and pathetic imitation of what was once whole, with the cracks in the seams of your brokenness forever serving as a shameful reminder of the damage you have sustained. You have seen broken things that have been repaired in your world, and the ugly lines of glue are always visible, a permanent testament to the break. And you fear that this is the very best you can hope for, to become a patched up version of your former self, forever marked by the scars of your past. But my child, you are reasoning with a human mind and thinking of a human repair. I am not a common repairman who uses cheap and visible glue to hide the damage. I am the divine artist, and I practice a sacred and a beautiful craft that your world has only faintly echoed in its own art forms. It is the ancient art of what you might call a divine kintsugi. In this art, when a precious ceramic vessel is broken, the master craftsman does not try to hide the cracks. Instead, he celebrates them. He painstakingly gathers every piece, and he mends them together not with an invisible adhesive, but with a lacquer that has been mixed with pure, molten gold. The result is a vessel that is not only whole again, but is far more beautiful, far more valuable, and far more interesting for having been broken. The lines of its past damage have now become its most beautiful and radiant feature. My child, I am not just gluing you back together. I am mending your broken heart with the very substance of my own being. I am filling every crack, every fracture, and every missing space with the molten gold of my redeeming grace and my unconditional love. Your scars will not be a source of your future shame. They will become the beautiful and glorious golden seams of my grace. What is this golden lacquer that I am now using to mend the shattered pieces of your soul? It is the very essence of my own divine and unconditional love. It is a love that flows, pure and holy, from the cross of my Son, where all the brokenness of the world was met with the greatest love in the universe. It is a love that is more powerful than your deepest sin. It is a love that is more patient than your most stubborn resistance. It is a love that is more beautiful than your most profound shame. I'm taking this divine, golden substance of my love, and with the infinitely patient and gentle hands of a master craftsman, I am carefully, tenderly tracing every single line of your brokenness. I'm feeling every crack, every fracture, and every painful memory with my own self. Where there was once a void of loss, I'm filling it with my presence. Where there was once a jagged edge of pain, I am applying the smooth and soothing balm of my grace. And as I do this, a glorious transformation takes place. You have seen your cracks and your scars as a shameful map of your past failures. But now, as they are filled with the brilliant gold of my grace, they are being transformed. They are no longer a map of your shame. They have become a beautiful and intricate map of your testimony. Each golden line now tells a powerful story of redemption. Look here at this long, jagged line. This is no longer the scar of that devastating betrayal. It is now the beautiful, golden seam that tells the story of the time you were broken by another, and my faithful love came and healed you. It is a testament to my power to mend a broken heart. Look here at this complex network of cracks. This is no longer the evidence of your great public failure. It is now the stunning, starburst pattern of golden seams that tells the story of the time you were shattered into a million pieces by your own mistake. And my radical grace came, gathered every piece, and put you back together again. Your scars have now become the radiant, beautiful, and undeniable story of my goodness and my power in your life, a perfect, flawless. An unbroken vessel has a certain cold and sterile kind of beauty. It may be admired for its perfection, but it is difficult to relate to. But a vessel that has been broken and has then been masterfully mended with pure gold has a different kind of beauty altogether. It has a deeper, a more profound, and a far more approachable beauty. It has character. It has a story. It has a history. And it speaks a message of hope to all the other broken vessels in the world. My child, you are now more beautiful to me, and you will now be more beautiful to a hurting and a broken world, precisely because of your golden scars. They are no longer your flaws. They are now your most beautiful, your most interesting, and your most glorious feature. They are what make you uniquely and breathtakingly you. They are the evidence that you have been through the fire, that you have known brokenness, and that you have been touched by the hand of the Master Restorer. And here is another great mystery of this divine craft. In the art of kintsugi, the vessel, once it has been mended with the lacquer and the gold, is often stronger at the very points of the break than it was in its original, unbroken state. The golden seams create a new and powerful reinforcement. And so it is with you. The very places where you are most deeply broken, the areas of your greatest weakness and your greatest failure, having now been filled with the powerful, divine substance of my redeeming love and my strengthening grace, have now become your areas of greatest strength, the place of your greatest failure, which has been filled with the gold of my forgiveness, will now become the source of your greatest authority to minister my grace to others. The place of your greatest wound, which has been filled with the gold of my comfort, will now become the source of your greatest compassion and your most effective ministry of healing. You are now stronger, not in spite of the fact that you were broken, but precisely because you were broken and have now been mended by my hand. Therefore, I am calling you now to a complete revolution in how you see the broken places in your own life. You must stop trying to hide your scars. Do not cover them up with the thick, concealing makeup of religious perfectionism. Do not be ashamed of them. They are no longer a sign of your brokenness. They are the radiant and glorious proof of your complete restoration. They are the signature of the Master Restorer, written across the canvas of your life. To hide them is to hide my greatest work. I want you to learn to see them as I see them, as beautiful, as honorable, and as glorious. The long and intricate work of mending is now nearing its completion. The golden seams are beginning to harden and to shine with a heavenly light. You are no longer a sad and forgotten pile of shattered pieces. You are a whole and beautiful vessel, a unique and priceless work of art, a living testament not to your own perfection, but to the stunning, the creative, the masterful, and the redemptive power of my love. You are a vessel of honor, and you are now almost ready to be filled with the new wine of my spirit. The Master Restorer has been at his sacred work. The divine, golden lacquer of my grace has been lovingly and meticulously applied to every fracture in your soul. The shattered fragments of your life have been gathered and joined together into a seamless and beautiful whole. But I know the question that now lingers in your heart as you look upon this newly mended vessel. You wonder, what is its nature? Is it now just a fragile, repaired object, a museum piece to be looked at, but never touched, for fear it will break again? No, my child, you must now come to understand the profound strength, the increased capacity, and the stunning new beauty of the new and stronger vessel you have now become. I know your lingering fear, even now, as you begin to feel a new sense of wholeness. You look at yourself and you feel fragile. You remember the trauma of the shattering so vividly that you are terrified of being put under any new pressure. You are afraid to be used by me in any significant way. You are afraid to be filled with any new hope or any great purpose, for fear that the old cracks might reopen and you will fall apart all over again. You are tempted to see yourself as a beautiful but ultimately delicate and decorative piece, fit only to be placed on a high shelf, to be admired from a distance, but never to be touched or used for any real, substantive purpose. But this, my child, is the great and glorious paradox of my divine restoration. A vessel that has been mended by my hand is not more fragile. It is immeasurably and supernaturally stronger than it ever was before. The very places where you were once weakest, the fault lines of your greatest brokenness, having now been filled and sealed with the divine substance of my own grace, have now become the places of your greatest and most formidable strength. The golden seams of my love are not a weak and temporary adhesive. They are divine and eternal reinforcement that has made you stronger and more glorious than you ever were in your original, unbroken state. You are now, in fact, more beautiful for having been broken. Let us now examine the new and wonderful characteristics of this new vessel that you are. First and foremost, you are now a vessel of greatly increased strength and resilience. As we have spoken of, the golden seams of my grace have reinforced the very structure of your soul. You are now able to withstand pressures and trials that would have utterly shattered your former self, where you were once brittle and easily broken by disappointment or criticism. You are now profoundly resilient, where you once were weak and easily swayed by fear. You are now strong with a quiet, inner strength that is not your own, but mine. You have been tested by the hottest fires of affliction, and you have not been destroyed. You have been proven strong. Therefore, the future trials you will inevitably face in this life will not break you. For you are now a vessel of tempered steel, a vessel that has been forged and proven in the divine kiln of my love. This new and rugged resilience is one of the greatest gifts that has been forged in your breaking. Next, you are a vessel of a much greater capacity. The process of your breaking and your remaking has also served to enlarge you on the inside. You are not the same size vessel that you were before your trial. Your heart, having been broken wide open by your grief, now has a far greater and more profound capacity to contain the new and intoxicating wine of my divine joy. Your mind, having been stretched to its limits by unanswerable questions and profound confusion, now has a much greater capacity to receive and to understand the deep mysteries of my wisdom. Your spirit, having known the painful reality of a deep and desolate emptiness, now has a glorious new capacity to be filled with the manifest fullness of my presence. I could not have poured into you the great abundance I have for you in your future if you had remained the small, narrow vessel of your past. I had to allow you to be broken so that I could remake you into a great and capacious vessel, a vessel that is capable of containing a great and mighty blessing without it overflowing into pride or shattering you under its sheer weight. You are also now a vessel of a deeper and more profound beauty. Your beauty is now of a completely different kind. It is no longer the shallow, smooth, and predictable beauty of the untouched and the untested. It is now the deep, the rich, the complex, and the profoundly compelling beauty of the redeemed, the intricate, golden lines of your testimony. Your scars that now shine with my glory are what now make you breathtakingly beautiful in my sight, and will make you irresistibly attractive to a broken and a hurting world. And people are not truly drawn to an unapproachable and sterile perfection. They are drawn to an authentic and a relatable redemption. And you, my child, because of all you have endured, are now profoundly and beautifully authentic. Your scars are not your flaws. They are now your most beautiful, your most interesting, and your most glorious feature. They are what make you uniquely you, and they are what will draw others to you, not to admire you, but to find hope for their own brokenness. And what is the ultimate purpose of this new, stronger, larger, and more beautiful vessel? It is to be joyfully and powerfully used by me. You once thought that your brokenness had made you permanently useless, but the glorious truth is that your very brokenness and my subsequent and beautiful restoration of you is the very thing that has now made you supremely and uniquely useful in my kingdom. You are now a vessel of honor, sanctified and prepared by my own hand for every good work I have planned for you. You are now a vessel prepared to carry the living water. Because you have been so masterfully mended, you no longer leak. You no longer lose what I pour into you through the cracks of insecurity and fear. And so I can now fill you to overflowing with the living water of my Holy Spirit, so that you may bring a cool and a life-giving drink of my presence to the thirsty and weary souls all around you. You are now a vessel prepared to be a light, because your every crack has been filled with the molten, shining gold of my grace. You are now a lamp. You are a vessel of light, designed to be placed on a lampstand to shine brightly in the dark and confusing places of this world. And you're now a vessel prepared to serve at my great feast. You are a beautiful and an honorable vessel, ready to be used at my banquet table, to serve the bread of my life and the new wine of my kingdom to all of my hungry and thirsty guests. I am calling you now, my beloved child, to embrace this new vessel you have become. You must, by a conscious act of your faith, stop identifying with the broken shards of your past. You must cease from seeing yourself as fragile, as weak, as damaged, as useless. You must begin to see yourself as I see you, strong, beautiful, capacious, and ready for a great and glorious purpose. You must begin to believe in the impeccable quality of my restorative work. For the new vessel is now complete. It is strong. It is beautiful. It is empty. And it is ready. The long and painful season of its making and its mending is now over. And now, the glorious and joyful season of its filling and its using is about to begin. The promise of your wholeness is about to be completely and wonderfully fulfilled. The Master Restorer has been at his holy and intricate work. Every shattered piece of your heart has been lovingly gathered. The painful memory of your past has been washed clean. The old, flawed vessel has been intentionally broken, and its purified clay has been masterfully mended together with the brilliant, golden seams of my own grace. The new vessel of your life, stronger and more beautiful for having been broken, now stands complete in my workshop. The long, painful, and hidden work of your remaking is finished. And now, the time has come for a great and glorious shift. The time has come for the new vessel to be brought out of the workshop and into the light. The time has come for the promise of your wholeness to be fully and finally realized in your lived experience. Mom, therefore, let all of heaven rejoice, and let all the forces of darkness that have tormented you with the lie of your permanent brokenness now tremble and flee. Let the accuser who has constantly whispered, shattered, and useless into your spirit be silenced forever by the power of this divine and unchangeable decree. For I, the Lord your God, the great I am, the master potter, the divine restorer, the one who makes all things new, now speak a word of creative power and sovereign authority over your life. I declare that the long, sorrowful, and painful season of your brokenness is now officially, completely, and irrevocably over. The season of you feeling fragmented and at war within yourself is over. The season of you living in the constant, gnawing fear of your own fragility is over. The season of you believing that you are a useless, discarded, and irreparable vessel is over. The dominion of your past brokenness over your present reality and your future hope is, in this moment, brought to a permanent and a glorious end. And in the place of this season that has now passed away forever, I now inaugurate, I now release, and I now decree a new and wonderful season into your life. It is a season for which you have been so long and so perfectly prepared. It is a season of your divine restoration. This is the great promise I now make to you. My precious and beloved child, the season of your restoration begins. And what will this restoration look like? It will be a profound and a tangible wholeness that will permeate every part of your being. First, I am restoring wholeness to your mind. The inner civil war that has been raging within you for so long is now over. The frantic, anxious, and fearful thoughts that have tormented you and have stolen your peace will now begin to be replaced by the quiet, steady, and supernatural peace of my spirit. Where there was once a raging storm of confusion and fear, there will now be a calm and a glassy sea. I am healing the fragmentation of your thoughts. I am calming the anxious narrator in your mind, and I am giving you the mind of Christ, a mind that is whole, that is sound, that is clear, and that is profoundly at peace. Next, I am restoring wholeness to your heart. The long and bitter winter of your sorrow and your grief is now ending. The ancient wells of your joy, which have been stopped up with the debris of your disappointments, have now been unstopped. And I am now beginning to pour the new wine of my own divine joy into the new, strong, and enlarged vessel of your heart. you will begin to experience a deep, an abiding, and a resilient joy that is not dependent on your outward circumstances. Your heart, which has been so heavy with grief for so long, will begin to become light again. You will hear the sound of your own, genuine laughter again, and it will be a beautiful and a holy sound. I am restoring your ability to feel and to express delight. I am restoring wholeness to your will, which has for so long been paralyzed by the fear of failure and the trauma of past mistakes, is now being made whole and strong. I am restoring to you a new and a holy sense of purpose, a new boldness, and a new spiritual confidence. You will no longer be afraid to take new risks for me. You will no longer be trapped in a state of passive resignation. You will begin to walk with a confident, and a purposeful stride, knowing who you are in me and knowing what you have been called to do. Your will, which was once so fragmented and at war with itself, is now coming into a beautiful and a powerful alignment with my own perfect will for your life. And yes, even your physical body will begin to experience the effects of this great restoration. The constant, low-grade stress of your inner brokenness has taken a profound toll on your physical health. But as my supernatural peace fills your mind and my divine joy fills your heart, a new and a holistic healing will begin to flow even into the very cells of your physical being. You will feel a new strength replacing your chronic weariness. You will feel a new energy, a new vitality that is not from yourself, but from me. This is the promise of my shalom, nothing missing, nothing broken, in your spirit, in your soul, and in your body. And hear this beautiful truth. The promise is that you will be whole again. This means that I am not just making you into something new and unrecognizable. I am also restoring to you the very best of what was lost in the breaking. I am restoring your childlike innocence, but now it will be a wiser and more discerning innocence, one that cannot be easily deceived. I am restoring your ability to trust, but now it will be a mature and a discerning trust, one that you give wisely. I am restoring your hope, but it will no longer be a naive and fragile optimism. It will be a rugged, a tested, and an unshakable hope that has been through the fire and cannot be extinguished. You are being restored to a state that is even better, even stronger, and even more glorious than the state you were in before you were ever broken. This new season of your restoration has now been decreed in the heavens. It is a finished work in the spiritual realm, but for it to become your full and daily experience, you must now, by faith, receive it. You must begin to see yourself as a whole person. You must begin to think and to act as a whole person. When the old feelings of brokenness, of fragmentation, of fear try to rise up from the grave of your past, you must now stand in your new authority, and you must speak my promise to those feelings. You must say, with a quiet and a firm confidence, no, that season is over. That person is gone. The season of my restoration has begun. I am whole in Christ. The Master Restorer has now completed his intricate and loving work of mending, and now begins his glorious and joyful work of filling. The promise of your wholeness is no longer a distant hope that you are striving for. It is a present and an unfolding reality that you must now learn to walk in. This is your time. This is your new season. You will be whole again. My child, for the great and glorious work of your restoration starts now. The great and glorious declaration has been made in the courts of heaven and has been proclaimed in your own heart. The long and painful season of your brokenness is over, and the new season of your divine restoration has now begun. You are being made whole again. But I, who know your heart with a perfect intimacy, know that you have lived as a broken person for so long that you may not know how to live any other way. You have become an expert in the sad art of survival, but you're a complete novice in the joyful art of living in wholeness. You must now learn how to walk as a whole person. We must now speak of the practical and beautiful art of living in your newfound wholeness, of learning to walk in the grace of your restoration without fear. I know the fear that still lingers in the quiet corners of your heart. It is the fear of a person who has just recovered from a great and traumatic injury. You are like a person who has had their legs shattered and then miraculously mended. And now you are afraid to put your full weight on it. You are afraid to run. You are afraid to jump. You are afraid to even walk with a confident stride, for fear that it will fail you, for fear that you will break again. This fear of re-injury, this terror of returning to your old state of brokenness, is the last great enemy that you must now overcome. For you have come to believe that your continued wholeness is now dependent on your own carefulness, on your own perfect performance, on your ability to perfectly protect yourself from any future bumps or bruises. But this is the old, anxious way of thinking, the way of the flesh and of self-reliance. And I'm here today to set you free from that burden. The glorious truth is this: you have been made whole by my unmerited grace, and you will be kept whole by that same unmerited grace. Your new life is not meant to be a life of anxiously trying not to break again. It is meant to be a life of joyfully and confidently living in the freedom of having been made unbreakable. This is the grace of walking without fear. So how do you live this out? How do you move from the fear of breaking to the confidence of wholeness? It is a new way of life that is learned through the practice of several new and holy disciplines of the heart. First, you must now learn to trust your new strength. The new vessel that I have remade you into is not a fragile piece of repaired pottery. It is a strong, a resilient, and a divinely reinforced vessel of honor. The golden seams of my grace, which now hold you together, are the strongest parts of your entire being. You must now begin, by faith, to trust the integrity of my restorative work in you. And this means that you must begin to take small, new, and courageous risks. You must begin to gently and intentionally put weight on your newly mended soul. I am now calling you to step out into the very areas where you were once most deeply broken. If you are broken in the area of relationships, I am now calling you to dare to love again, to risk vulnerability again, knowing that your heart is no longer as fragile as it once was. If you were broken in the area of your purpose or your ministry, I am now calling you to dare to dream again, to take a small new step of faith in the direction of your calling. As you begin to tentatively test your new, God-given strength, you will discover, to your own astonishment and delight, that it holds. you will discover that you no longer shatter under the old pressures. You must, my child, act your way into the full confidence of your new strength. Second, you must now learn the discipline of releasing your old habits of self-protection. For years, because you were so broken and so fragile, you have learned to live a small and a guarded life. You have built thick, high walls around your heart to protect the broken pieces from any further harm. You have learned to be cynical as a way to protect yourself from disappointment. You have learned to be distant as a way to protect yourself from the pain of betrayal. These walls have served a purpose for a season, but you are no longer a broken vessel in need of such protection. And those same walls that once kept the pain out are now a prison that is keeping my blessings and the love of others out as well. I am now calling you to the courageous and often difficult work of dismantling your own self-protective walls, one stone at a time. This means you must make the conscious choice to be vulnerable again. It means you must choose to be open again. It means you must choose to trust again. Is this a risk? Yes. In this broken world, it always is. But you are no longer a fragile, unprotected vessel. You are now strong enough to live with an open and a loving heart. For you know that I, your God, am your ultimate shield and your defender. Third, you must learn to live fully in the present moment. The fear of breaking again is a fear that is rooted entirely in the memory of your past. And the anxiety about a potential future failure is a fear rooted in an imagined future. But my grace, my strength, and my presence are only ever found in one place, the present moment of now. To live as a whole person, you must learn to live fully in the present. You must practice the spiritual discipline of bringing your mind back from the sorrowful graveyards of your past regrets and from the anxious and imaginary territory of your future fears. My grace for you is for today. My strength for you is for this moment. Learn to inhabit the sacred space of now, for it is the only place where you can truly experience the glorious reality of your new wholeness. And finally, you must learn to minister from your scars, not from your wounds. A vital and beautiful part of living as a whole person is allowing me to use your story to bring healing to others. But there's a great and a profound difference between ministering from a wound and ministering from a scar. To minister from an open, unhealed wound is to often bleed on the very people you are trying to help. It is to often seek your own healing and validation from the people you are meant to be serving. But to minister from a scar is something else entirely. A scar is a wound that has been healed. It is a place of past pain that has now been transformed into a place of present strength. You are no longer ministering for your healing. You are now ministering from your healing and your scars. The beautiful, golden seams of my grace that now trace the lines of your past brokenness are now your greatest and most powerful tool to bring hope to other broken people. You can now show them your scars and say with an authentic authority, I know where you are. I have been there. But let me tell you about the God who is a master restorer, the one who can take your shattered pieces and make you whole again, even more beautiful than before. As you begin to practice these simple disciplines of the heart, the pervasive fear of breaking again will begin to recede, and in its place, A new and a glorious confidence will rise within you. It will not be a loud, arrogant confidence in yourself. It will be a deep, a quiet, and a restful confidence in me, and in the impeccable quality of the restorative work I have done and am continuing to do in you. You will finally learn to walk through this life, not as a fragile patient, constantly checking for new cracks, but as a healed and a whole child of God, radiating the quiet strength and the stunning beauty of your own miraculous restoration. And so, my beloved child, my whole one, my beautiful Kintsugi vessel, we have come to the end of our journey of revelation, from the painful anatomy of your shattered heart, through the patient gathering of your scattered pieces, through the merciful and purposeful remaking of the vessel, through the beautiful mending with the golden seams of my grace, to the glorious emergence of a new and stronger vessel. I have been with you. You have heard the promise of your wholeness. And now, you have the instructions for how to live in this new reality, how to walk in the grace of your restoration without fear. I want you to see yourself now, not as a pile of broken shards in a dark corner, but as a beautiful and a priceless vase, sitting in the center of the main room of my house. The light of my love is shining upon you, and it is catching the intricate, golden lines of your scars, making them radiate with a beauty that is breathtaking to all of heaven. And you are no longer empty. You are filled to overflowing with the living water of my spirit, ready to be poured out as a drink of hope and of healing for a thirsty world. Rest now in your wholeness. It is not something you must anxiously guard, for I am the one who keeps you whole. It is my gift to you, a gift that is eternal and secure. Walk in your wholeness. My child, it is who you are forever.